So, welcome to the second coffee break. I would like to introduce our speakers and moderators of the session, which are from Microsoft, Åsa Magnussen and Paula Ramirez Löfström. I assume both are channel sales managers, small and medium business, focused modern work and security. And from also Niklas Sharuf, focused sales manager, security and ISV, and myself, German Otomo. I'm a cloud sales specialist, also in modern work, and I do SureStep. So a little agenda recap. So what's a brief overview? Well, what is Copilot? For new listeners, Copilot is an AI companion that can chat with you, answer your questions, and generate creative content. I'll do some news, then our counterparts in Microsoft will guide you through learnings, demo, and adoption. And after that, I'll point you in the direction of some resources, and then we'll finish off with a Q&A. So I thought it would be a nice change of pace with some good AI news, and these are just some excerpts of some headlines. So please indulge me with these thought experiments where we might be heading. So digital assistants are merging with AI tools, so we can use them for more than, say, just voice commands and smart devices. They will learn from your data, preferences, and habits to anticipate your needs and help you with various tasks. They can also adapt to different situations, such when you're at home, at work, or traveling, or switch between devices seamlessly. So they're quickly becoming our digital life companions. Democratize data for business users. So tools that make data and AI accessible and easy for everyone to use. They allow you to use natural language to ask questions, get insights, and create reports and dashboards from data without, for instance, knowing coding. They also help you to collaborate and share data with others and get feedback and suggestions. They're making data more useful and powerful for just about everyone. So in the healthcare, an area where AI is improving diagnosis, treatment, and care, it uses AI to analyze medical images such as X-rays, CT scans, MRI scans, to find and treat diseases faster and better. It also uses AI to tailor treatment recommendations based on your medical history, genetics, lifestyles, and preferences. It can also use AI to provide virtual assistance for care and support, such as monitoring your condition, reminding you of do things, and answering your questions. Climate change, that's a challenge that AI might help us tackle. We can use AI to optimize renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, or hydro by predicting and balancing demand, supply, look at weather conditions, and so forth. AI could also be used to monitor and protect our environment by detecting and tracking pollution, deforestation, or wildlife. AI can also be used to reduce the risk of the impact of natural disaster by forecasting, warning, and responding to emergencies. So if you look at finance, an industry that AI is transforming by enhancing security, efficiency, and personalization, we can use AI to analyze transactions, patterns, anomalies to detect and prevent fraud. AI can be trained to understand your goals, your needs, and preferences to provide personal financial advice. AI can automate investment management by using algorithms, data, and machine learning to optimize portfolio performance and risk. And with that, I give the stage to Microsoft.
Great, thank you, Jermund. So my name is Åsa, and I work as a channel sales manager within Modern Work, and I have Paula with me, my colleague. And we're going to talk a bit about Copilot for M365, some early findings, and give you some resources going forward. So we have seen in the past year, as you all are probably aware of, a shift in the market with a huge interest for AI and AI technology. And looking at the market, we see that it is ready for AI as well. It's really receptible, since 80% of organizations believe that AI will give them a competitive edge. And looking at employees today, we have an enormous opportunity, and you as Microsoft partners have an enormous opportunity to reach new customers, migrate them to the cloud, and accelerate your practice and grow revenue by helping these customers to prepare their software teams and strategic approach to AI. And looking at the employee sentiment, we have had some digital debt, as we call it. So a lot of the employees don't really have time or energy to do their actual day-to-day job. And we spend enormous amounts of time communicating. We are emailing each other, we are chatting, we have meetings all day long. And a lot of the time we are creating. We need to write texts, we need to create slides like these, and so on. So we can actually see a huge demand for help as well, with AI, for example, and AI boosted tools. And as you're aware of, we have rolled out Copilot for M365 to all customers now. We removed the 300 seat limit, and it's now available to purchase through all Microsoft channels. And some early findings that we have from the product is that we do see increase in task completion rates with 12.2%. We have decrease in time to spend on completing these tasks overall. We have decreased the amount of subtasks as well, so we can actually streamline our work to do what's more meaningful to us, comparing with the previous slide where we don't really find the time to do our actual job. And we have also increased the quality of our work. And this is just the beginning, so hopefully we will see some even higher numbers going forward, and while we adopt Copilot for M365. And we talk a lot about time. So looking at an example where, let's see if we can see. Okay, this is a bit dark now, but I'm going to talk you through it. So if we look at an example where an employee is costing the company about $70,000 per year, and we make an investment for Copilot at $30 per month per user, we see that by just saving 54 minutes each month, we have broken even with the investment. And you know, break even is really nice, but we will always like to go plus. So looking at 1.5 hours saved per month, we see a return on investment with 68%. And you can't really see the numbers now because this slide has gone really dark, but we will fix that.
I'll take the blame.
Yeah,
It might
no
be our
worries.
style that is overriding yours when I copy pasted it.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to talk them through it. And saving 2.5 hours, the highest number on this one, we actually have an ROI on 180%. So those are quite cool numbers, which you can't see now, but you'll have to trust me on this one. And 2.5 hours, ROI 180%. And looking at the early users, the best ones actually saves up to 10 hours per month. And as I said, we're just in the beginning now, so hopefully we can educate ourselves, we will adopt the product more, and we can save even more than 10 hours. And then we will see a return on investment that's even higher. And so just recapping what I said before, we started talking about Copilot and we launched it in March 2023. We released it for enterprise customers on November 1st. And now starting January 16th, we have released Copilot broadly. So from January, we can sell Copilot through all channels, enterprise agreement, CSP, and direct purchase. Before we had to have the M365 E3 or E5 licenses, but now we can purchase through Business Standard, Business Premium, and we've also added the Office versions of Enterprise licenses E3 and E5. And we have removed the minimum order seats all up, so possibly you can purchase one license. However, we encourage you to really take the dialogue with the customers. That one license as a pilot might not give the greatest value. And the reason we removed the minimum seat requirement is so that we can do pilots, we can test it out, we get that that's something you might want to do. But have the dialogue with the customer, make them consider which groups and which personas should we focus on in this initial stage. And just, okay, this one is a bit messy as well, but let's see. Okay, so we have as well changed a couple of names during the Copilot journey. You may have heard names as Bing Chat for Enterprise, and so on. Now we have Copilot, which is previously Bing Chat. That's an open source service available to anyone going into copilot.microsoft.com, just a regular chat service comparable to ChatGPT, basically. And the thing here is that you have no commercial data protection. But with your Microsoft licenses in the Business Standard Premium and E3, E5 licenses, you have included now the Copilot with commercial data protection, which we previously called Bing Chat for Enterprise. So really encourage you to use this one instead. And in the dialogues with customers, this is a really good reason to move them up to Premium or E5, depending on where they're at right now, instead of using the open sources. Because with this service, you get the commercial data protection, which is so important. We don't want to train our models on confidential data. And then we have the third option, which is the banger product, really. We have Copilot for Microsoft 365. And here we really move it to the next level. We throw it up on your productivity apps. We have your regular Office apps as PowerPoint, Excel, Word, Outlook, etc., and Teams. And we also connect the tool to Microsoft Graph, which is your company data. And this really gives that AI edge where you can contextualize your results and your answers from your AI assistant. So given this, an example could be that based on this recorded and transcribed meeting, I want to create a follow-up email to you. And given that my Copilot has access to my Microsoft Graph, I can just point at this meeting and say, hey, write a follow-up email to the participants in this meeting, pointing at this meeting and this transcription, and Copilot will pick up the context and write a really sharp email focusing on the contents we speak about today. And so looking at value a bit more, we encourage you to start by talking to your customers and understanding their roles. What type of roles do we have here? Where can we add value into your organization? Is it a finance company and that doesn't really work with, I don't know, marketing that much? Then we might want to look at these functions and talk about value within, for example, Excel. We're going to see different types of value depending on the roles we see. HR focus, for example, a lot of communication and drafting job descriptions, etc., while IT might want to have a project structure, and finance works with their numbers in their Excel sheets, and so on. And moving these roles, we go into looking at workflows. And these are some examples where we can find value from Copilot for M365. For example, we have meetings. By recording and transcribing the meeting, you can come in late to a meeting and really quickly catch up on what you've missed, just ask your Copilot, hey, recap the meeting so far. And Copilot will give you a really crisp summary. We can also analyze data to quickly uncover some insights and not really having to scan through all those Excel sheets. We get a jump start with creating. You never have to start from a blank page anymore. If I have to write something in Word, I can just ask it to draft something really quickly. And again, pointing at my company data, maybe I want to write a summary of the economic reports from last month, and I can just ask it in natural language. And also email processing, which is, I think, a big player here. Really getting that help on searching through your never-ending inbox if you're anything like me and have plenty of emails coming in. So these are very much time savers, and that's really cool, and it's going to help us a lot. But in the long run, we say that time savings are just the beginning. We also see bigger value looking in the long run. As we saw in the beginning, we have seen some digital debt with people not really having the time or energy and focusing on the wrong things. And by reducing this with time savings, we can improve the quality of the work that we actually do put our time on and increase employee satisfaction and well-being. I might not be as stressed from searching for that information. Where did I save that file that I got from German this morning? I can just ask, which will help me. And we have a unique opportunity right now. We are standing before a market that's really AI thirsty. And we are in a season where we renew plenty of our customers' license deals. So we have an opportunity here to really attach Copilot for M365 where you find the customer is ready. You can upsell, make them ready. Do they have the right base? Do they have the right licenses, security, compliance in place? And this is a great opportunity to really move your customers up to the cloud. So that's where we see a huge opportunity for US resellers. And looking globally, we have a total addressable market with 190 million addressable seats for Copilot for M365. So the interest is there, the customer base is there, and now we just have to make sure we bring it into our dialogues. And with that, I am going to hand over to my colleague, Paula, about preparing for AI.
Wonderful, thank you. So one of the discussions that we say come up a lot when we talk to both resellers and the customer is the whole AI and the hype. We know that the past year of 2023 was named as the year of AI, but we also see that a lot of the customers right now are not sure about what to do about it. We know that at least in Sweden, I think it's like 75% of the companies in Sweden, in the leadership teams, they are discussing what are we to do with AI? How are we supposed to use it or maybe not use it, for what parts, and so on. But we realize that you actually have to sit down with the customers and talk about like what is the AI strategy, what kind of data do we have. So you actually have to have in mind as a customer, and I guess also as a partner, like how are we using this in order for it to have value? Because you're saying we want Copilot, you're saying like we would like to do this with AI. You also need to think about, okay, how much would that cost? Do we need to tailor it? So a lot of these questions here are typical questions that we bring into the room with the customers to understand, do we have an idea? And I would say that most customers don't have that. So that's where you as a partner come in and have a huge opportunity, not only when it comes to M365 and Copilot, but I think in general. And what we actually see is also that if we have the customers starting with, for example, M365 Copilots, it's much easier to open up the doors for other dialogues to see what we could be doing with Power Automate, and it could be other parts as well. And if I skip to the next slide, should I take control and skip? Maybe I do it myself, take control. Yep. Okay, there we go. So we also see that in the latest Work Trend Index report, maybe some of you guys have seen this one. we share like the big trends that you see. I think probably also already talked about this, but what we see then there is that we do also have a great gap in the sense that the companies, they need more AI experience. And we also see right now with AI that in difference to what we normally maybe see with tech investments, that it's the leadership team who buys it, or IT, and we kind of trickle down through the organization. We now see actually it's the users in the organizations who start to use it. And now the leadership team have to kind of set on like, okay, our users going in this direction, we can't be a slow mover. And if we're going to keep our competitive advantages in the market, we need to be able to cater to those needs. And for a lot of also interesting, because we do this report actually joined with LinkedIn, also part of the Microsoft family, we also see that like young people actually wouldn't even consider today to work for companies who don't have up-to-date programs and solutions in place. So that's also another important and I think interesting angle of it. So this one is supposed to come a little bit later, but just to make sure that establish this here's a center of excellence. Maybe it's not something you can articulate for very, very small companies, but still that you have to have an idea. So also when you buy Copilot or any kind of decisions around AI for the organization, you need to understand like, so what is the aim of this? The why is super important, and also what data do I have? And we're going to come in now and I'm going to talk a bit more about security, that we have this in place. So this is again like you will be able as a partner to really find that extra value when you can be that partner guiding them through this journey, because the dialogue of what you can do with AI is so much bigger than Copilot. Even if I know that a lot of companies today see Copilot as an easy entrance because it is applications they already work with today. I'll actually skip this one. So just to move in a little bit into, I think a lot of you guys have already are aware about the security part, and this is something that needs to be in place. But I find it quite interesting that when we now released Copilot on CSP, we did see actually a lot of partners and customers who did the big mistake of just attaching it. We had not had a thought about security and these things that you see on the screen right now at first. And so understand and govern your data and safeguarding like data protection is super important. And I will tell you why, because obviously I'm just thinking like whenever I discuss with my colleagues, what would be the first thing if I got access to everything in the company? And again, I had access to it before, but now it's easier for me to find it. And the fact is that you will go and look for salary files, or it might be R&D data. I think we all know that a lot of companies put very sensitive data into ChatGPT in the beginning before you understand that I'm sharing this data broadly with everyone. So we realized that also if we look at the Scandinavian like market, we also see that we have quite flat organization, and that make it so that we actually share, like we don't think that our data is that sensitive. We share it broadly and it's good that everybody can access everything. And that's not really the case when we add a product such that Copilot, because then finally with those, like people are curious, like if you can find out things that are interesting, even if you could have before, now it's easier. And we don't want to give that access to everybody in the company. So to make sure that we actually take away all data, super important that when we use these analytic tools that we don't have all data interfering when we do different reports. And same again with accesses. So we also see from the security defense report that Microsoft released this year, or last year, sorry. We also saw that the Sweden and Finland and some of the Nordic countries are the countries that are being most targeted, and when hackers go in and extract data, because we're really good at we have societies where we collect so much data, we have public sector, and we tend to just like save that data for longer than we really should. But it actually then makes us a target again with security because of that. So these are two of the first discussions that you need to have with customers and again as partners to make sure that you have this in place for successful implementation of Copilot. And I just want to show, I think this one should have maybe come before the other one, but just to show that we do see from the pilots we had with customers worldwide, we see that a lot of the companies actually had to go back and do months of preparation to make sure that they had control over their data, they knew what they had, who had access to what. We also saw that companies in countries which have more hierarchical structures, it was a bit better. It was a bit easier for them. So for Nordic countries, we do have to do maybe a little bit more of a job because we have these very flat organizations. And yes, I'm just saying this, I think you all have seen this reputation, but it's still good because we still do get these questions in when we talk to a customer, and that is like, okay, so what happens to my data? How does it work? And the same principle that goes for all Microsoft's products, how we work with security, the zero trust model, and that you can trust that your data is safe, goes for Copilot, same there. And again, like I wouldn't have access to anything in my environment that I didn't have access to yesterday. It's just that it makes it easier for me now when I can search it with other tools. So the ethical part is always there, and I think this is super important, specifically when we also see now all the attacks. I mean, Sweden and Finland entering NATO and all these things, we do see that it's so much more attacks than it was just a year ago. So this becomes super important to take up because we also see shift in the landscape that customers are more open to having these dialogues. I hope this is something you see on the partner side as well. And so I would say that, oh, this also came up in an interesting format, but I would say if you're going to track it down, because a lot of the customers and partners right now, they kind of say, okay, so what should I be doing? Should I stop now and wait? Can I start with Copilot, or should I have to go back and do this massive tracking on my data and making sure I have it in place? And of course, I mean, in the best scenario, you should have done that when we had GDPR coming. But so if you didn't, like, it's time to do it now. But I would say that you can actually do it simultaneously. And that is also the recommendation that we say that, okay, know the size of the problem. That's the first part. Like, how much data do you have? Smaller companies, like, then hopefully less data. But then again, I would say that also make sure, like, what kind of functions. I think also talked about that. What functions actually create most data in the company? So where would we have those? And maybe we can start with those because they normally have high, like, or maybe in the leadership team. So we can start and add the Copilot licenses to those roles. And then when we simultaneously make sure we have control over the data and the accesses and so on, then we can add it to the broader scope of the organization. And then again, it comes to AI center of excellence. So there is ways to do it in steps with the customer. So I think I understand as a partner, you want to make sure that you have everything in place, but you can actually do it small steps side by side. And that is the recommendation and the dialogues we are having as sellers Microsoft with the customers today. I'll skip this one as well. Also, do you want to go jump in on this, or should I do the demo?
Yeah, sure. We're just going to give you a couple of resources going forward if you haven't really started nosing into Copilot all that much. But we are going to be looking at a whole new way of working. So learn on how AI will play an important role in your and your customers' organization going forward. It's going to be super important to focus on adoption and really holding the hand of your customer going into using Copilot for M365. You might wish that it's just to use Copilot and it will fix all of your problems. It's not really that simple, unfortunately. You need to practice and you need to work with your customers and users on how to do this the best. As Paula emphasized, security, privacy, and compliance never been more important than now. It's always important, but it's really coming into the light now when we start bringing AI into the equation. And the art of prompting, a bit difficult, but we have resources for that as well with a Copilot lab where you can go in and start practicing and get good examples of prompts that are really useful.
Yes, and I can just, I'll share the next slide there where we won't be, I know maybe we said in the introduction about demos, we won't be doing demo today, but that will come in a later session with also. So we will actually show you live how you can create and build it. But there already is a lot of really good demo material. And in Sweden, I worked in one of my previous roles as a workshop manager. So I really know the strength of being able to like show it and not just talk about it, not just having a PowerPoint slide. In these ones, you have some click-through demos. They work as, I think sometimes that are even more secure to use them because then you know you have the different stages, but it's still like moving content. And there's also a lot of other demos you can see both on the different apps, but also how you tie together the whole story about the productivity applications joined with Copilot. But I was going to say, I also know that from a fact that not all partners are familiar with our CDX, which is a great resource that we Microsoft offer to our sellers internally, but as well as partners. And that is a web page where you can find also, if you see it better on the next one. So see the platform of CDX, if you haven't been there before, Transform, I think it had different names. If you haven't logged in there before, please do so. Maybe the other side is even better, this one. Yeah, I'll show it like this instead. Customer immersive experience, I think CIE was called back in the days, workshops, upplevelsrummet, it's been called in Sweden. It is a great way to showcase not just Copilot in this case. You have scenarios for all different flavors of products, to be totally honest, and for different personas, different sizes of company. So and you also have different lengths. Some are short, some are longer, some are you can make for one-to-many experiences, some for one-to-one. But here you really have scripts of how you can facilitate the whole experience. You have all the example data, like for example, example data, it's all in there. So if you choose that you want to do an experience for retail customers, you have data that a retail customer would have in their environment, which support this. And again, like this is you can give this to the customers and use it yourself. You can't break anything in there. Like it's a demo environment, you throw it up and it dies. So it's a super good resources to use, and as well for customer when you move them to the next stage in the journey, to be able to for them to test it around and see how do they like it, what are the big differences from the products they are having today in their environment. So this is a really, really good tool, I would say, to use and to get familiar with, no matter if you work one-to-one with the customer or you do bigger events. I think it facilitates for all kinds of roles, I would say. And let's see, we put some more. I was going to say, yeah, we'll not show all of this because we did put in a lot of resources for you guys. You can actually get started with it today if you want. But I will show this one. And this is just from Microsoft side, a bit of a, you call it cheat sheet, maybe we call it cheat sheet, to maybe see like, okay, in the different stages when it comes to Copilot, like what is important for you as a partner to be aware of. And it comes to the enablement part, what do we have there for you as a Microsoft partner? There are different certifications, there are different digital training paths that you can do. Targeting customers, you do have different parts in Partner Center, which can help you to find data on your customer, which customers seem to be ready for that next stage, which customers do I need to talk more security with. And again, we have the regulatory parts right now. We have DORA for finance sector. We have NIS 2 coming in October. So all of these things actually, again, with security helps to have the dialogue and move customers and become more comfortable with adopting AI products. We also have different workshop, again, tailored workshop for SMB segment, and now with available Copilot content that is really good that you can do. You can even use your co-op if you have such to finance these. So as you see, I'm not going to go through all of this here, but there are lots of resources and you will get the presentation afterwards. You can click through and look at this, but there are parts of all of the sales journey. But I want to just push it over to you, Åsa, because post-sales, we know that is more important than ever for this product.
Yes, so really think about not just doing the transaction of the licenses as the Copilot journey. We really have to think about this as a circular motion. We have the pre-sales, the preparation, we have the data estate, the security, the compliance, the data governance. Then we have the transacting state and really deploying Copilot into the customer's environment, which will come with some semantic indexation, which is automatic processes. And then we have the post-sales, which will be the most important part for showing the value. Do trainings with the customers, or if you as a reseller don't have the capacity, really look into partner-to-partner collaboration. We have some strong players in the pre-sale stage and we have some strong players in the post-sale stage. So this is really the best time to shake hands and work together towards the customers. So the journey doesn't really end when you have made the transaction. It's a circular evergreen loop.
Yes, I just totally agree on that. So you really, I was going to say, as a partner, if I would say anywhere like to get started, it's for sure to make sure that you understand how to discuss and talk about compliance in these parts, because we know that the compliance part of Business Premium, as well as the E5, is the least used part of this, the products that the customers buy. So that's like you have a really great advantage there to actually talk about that and make them understand. And maybe buy, if they have Business Premium today, we've seen a lot of customers who actually went to E5 because they realized that we're not going into deep now today on the products, but we know that they're in the E5. We have more functionality when it comes to classifying documents, retention policies, and so on. Maybe we can go into depth more on that in later coffee breaks, but we know that this is something that you as a partner have a huge opportunity, because customers, they haven't spoken compliance. When we talk to customers, I haven't heard a single customer yet who said, yeah, I've been going into deep conversation about compliance. So I think there's a huge opportunity for you as a partner. And also, as I was saying, the other one is really to become that trusted advisor and hold their hands throughout the whole journey, because we do see that a lot of customers end up now saying, we bought all these licenses and now. And I think to take that ownership as a partner and make sure you set up these training communities to really learn and understand how to use the products. We know there was the same thing for teams during COVID. Lots of organizations spent lots and lots of hours on training to make sure the user got the whole and full value. And today, for most people, at least in Sweden that I speak to, majority of them are aware in how to use different functions in Teams and use it on a regular basis. And I don't think that would have been the case if they didn't got a lot of post-sales and adoption training on the product. With that, I'm going to say that's all that me and Åsa has to talk about today. And I also see there's lots of questions. So we'll try to see if we can address all of them as well.
Please go back and see if I missed any. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we should read them up loud. If there's any we haven't. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great idea to join our slides, but I did enjoy seeing our typeface on your slides, so it becomes you. So I think we kind of overlapped a little bit, so I can go faster. I see we have a little time left. So do you sometimes feel flooded with resources and information? I know that I do, so I thought I'd share my 5 cents. So these are the resources I come back to more than often when helping indirect resellers leverage Copilot deployment. In Microsoft Learn, in the section about Copilot setup, I usually scroll all the way down to the bottom, and this slightly hidden gem will launch your setup guide native to your admin portal at admin.microsoft.com. That in turn will guide you through preparing your tenant for safe deployment of or for Microsoft 365. So little nostalgia. I was going to just drag and drop my browser window, so now I'm going to try to share my screen. Hold your breath. Sure. I think somebody are unmuted. Mute police, go to work. So yeah, this is when you follow the second link, and it's on your transform portal, and it's the 3-step guide, and it looks like this. And Microsoft has really been good at putting everything you need here. So these are the 3-step: define your strategy, develop skills, and go to market. And almost every day I'm in here, they have added something new or created resources for you. And yeah, if they write recommended, I recommend taking a look at it. The other one is over here, and it was the one I said was on the learning path for Microsoft, deploy for the deployment part for Copilot. And this is the link at the bottom, which I think might be maybe you should move it to the top or something, because everything you're trying to tell people, they have this nifty wizard for. Here you can see some of the prerequisites to getting ready. Someone was talking about information security, and this will take you through the Purview information protection setup, and also applying principles of zero trust and all the security stuff you might be wondering about. I I don't have any licenses on this tenant, so that might be a problem. But for learning purposes, it's fine. Here are also additional resources for you, and then you will send, this email to your end customers, and you can opt in if you want them to receive, emails from Microsoft on further learning Copilot, and it will look something like this when you send it. And then here are some more resources at the end. So I think I'll try to start the presentation again. Just let me know when visible. There we go. So we were further along. We were at slide 30 something. Here we go. Can you see my screen again with the slides? So, yeah, and to mention some resources for your end customer, for a software start and more of what I think they're expecting, I'd point my user towards Copilot in Edge and Copilot Lab. They will learn how to interact with Copilot, explore different capabilities and features of Copilot, such as searching the web, summarizing documents, creating images, write code, and more, anything you can think of. And they can practice writing effective prompts and get feedback and suggestions from Copilot on how to improve their prompts. They can share their prompts and results with others and discover new prompts from the Copilot Lab community. And this will ease the user into Copilot in various Microsoft 365 apps such as Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, Teams, and Loop, and so forth. I think it's a more pleasant learning curve on how Copilot can enhance their productivity and creativity instead of learning by trial and error and frustrations like I do with Teams and PowerPoint, coincidentally. So I'm going to skip this because it was mentioned in your presentation. I've already shared these links in the chat. It should be up there. And it's time for our Q&A, which we have short time for. Is there any question that might need reading up loud? Moderator.
I was just looking, and the last question we got was regarding the connectors. So there was some question regarding the pricing on the connectors and so on, but as it's been written, it is not needed. But I think it's, for example, if you want to implement Salesforce or something, connectors like that, of course, will need something for that.
And you can also build your own collectors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I have a question though to the audience, and please submit your answers in the chat. What would you like us to cover in future sessions? So don't be shy. So is there any other? I don't see any hand. You can raise your hand and probably the moderator can unmute you if you need to speak, or you just write in the chat.
They cover actual use of the Copilot. Yeah, we could probably do that as well to go through the different. We know that there hasn't been enough sessions where we go through the explicit use of the different productivity applications. So that's for sure something, I guess, that we see that both customers and obviously you guys partners want to see more of.
Then there's a question regarding if you'd like to add a Copilot Studio into Teams, what is the cost of that?
Not really sure about that one. Me and Paula solely focus on Copilot for M365 as of now. So I would
We'll see
say
if we can
need
find
to go back on that one.
Yeah, come back with answer. I agree.
Yeah, sure.
Could you talk a little bit regarding the incentives for Copilot, how that is structured?
Yes.
Possible?
we can make sure to provide some resources on that, but we need to get back on that one because we don't have them right now.
We didn't have them in the slides now, but we can add
No.
them to the deck if it's shared afterwards. We can make sure that it's in there.
I see
Perfect.
we're 1 minute past our allotted time, so of course, just feel free to continue posting questions in the chat, and we'll get to them. But I think that's about time to thank you for your participation, and I hope to see you all in our next section, which is in 2 weeks. Tell your friends, and thanks again to our guest speakers. So I guess until next time, that's goodbye.
Great. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you. Goodbye.